Mind if we skip the pleasantries, since we're short on time? If what the guide says is true, in order to retrieve the Ironheart that's here, there's something we have to understand first. The entry device to the Hagios Prime hands was destroyed a long time ago, and neither we nor the Vulgus could gain entry. But now they've just sauntered in there and connected the Ironheart to the Prime hands. I think this whole thing has something to do with this intel on Amon. Here.
This is Zachary of the 22nd Recon Squad. A surveillance drone in the Hagios corrupted zone has tracked the movements of the high-ranking Vulgus, Amon. We're unable to access the data remotely due to our signal being jammed. The surveillance drone needs to be retrieved for the data to be confirmed. Our recon squad has been scattered by a Vulgus attack. Requesting backup.
This communication was received by HQ a few hours ago. Not long after, a pillar of light appeared in Hagios, and Karel's fleet began to move. I think Amon found something in the corrupted zone that allowed them to enter the ruins. Looks like we need to find Amon before we can get the Ironheart. Don't you think I'm the best person for that job? With my arcane ability? The other Descendants can help with the mission to detach the Ironheart.
HQ, the Descendants have arrived. I repeat, the Descendants have arrived. HQ, do you copy? Ah, damn it. Descendant. You saved my life back there. I'm Zachary, 22nd Recon Squad member. So, do you know what the hell is going on? Comms have been down the past few days, we've had no backup. And then suddenly Amon appears, and now there's some strange beam of light shooting down from the sky. I thought the Vulgus were launching an all-out assault and nearly crapped my pants. What? I was right? Well, that's one thing. But the comms... Did you say you only received it a few hours ago? No way. It's been more than 48 hours since I transmitted those comms. I can't believe you've only just received the comms I sent a few days ago. Have you detected the Vulgus jamming your signals at all? So that's why backup was delayed. And why we weren't getting comms from HQ. So, when we saw reinforcements weren't coming, we had to put together a team of scouts to retrieve the surveillance drone ourselves. We lost many soldiers in the process, and the drone was damaged. I was planning to recover the drone's memory logs and take them directly to HQ. But as you know, we can't use the RK warp device. What do we do now? Is the situation foobar?
According to the data captured by the drone, Amon's most recent destination was a naturally formed cave. It doesn't seem to have any tactical value. That being said, there's a high number of Vulgus troops going in and out of the cave. Construction materials and heavy equipment. There's a lot of high-tech equipment being brought in too. They wouldn't be there without a reason. We need to initiate a search operation now. Could you handle the cave? I'll seal off the entrance to stop the enemy getting reinforcements, or retreating. Zachary will cover us from enemy snipers with his scout rifle. We don't have much time. Let's move.
When you get near to the cave, be on guard for the commander-level Vulgus who is stationed there. He's a cyborg Vulgus called Keldir. He's part of a specialized sniper unit that uses anti-matter ammunition. I managed to damage his visual sensors last time I engaged him. But he can still use his auxiliary sensors and sound functions to launch deadly attacks. Fighting him could be a challenge, even for a Descendant. And as for my personal request, well, if you do run into Keldir, I'd like to be the one to finish him. I lost a lot of good men to that piece of crap Vulgus. If I'm not the one to take him out, I'll regret it for the rest of my life.
Descendant, what's the status of the Hagios operation? We haven't received any comms. We were getting worried. What did you say? The recon squad's communication was sent 48 hours ago? That doesn't make any sense. How have the Vulgus developed advanced tech warfare capabilities? Run the details by me again, please? Alright, so Amon was excavating a phase shift gate in the hidden ruins. and he discovered that the damaged device emitted quantum waves which acted as jamming signals. I see. I understand that he would have taken advantage of such an opportunity. It seems luck is not on our side. If we'd received this report sooner, we could have acted on the information. But at least we have some useful intel, even if it didn't reach us at the right time. If we can find the excavated phase shift gate, we'll still be able to achieve our goal. I'm more concerned with the operation at the White-night Gulch. It's taking longer to detach the Ironheart than we expected. At this rate, it may not be completed by the time Karel's fleet arrives. We've already had reports of Vulgus forces appearing near to the Gulch. We're running out of time. I wish there was some way that we could turn things around. We'll just have to do the best we can on both fronts for now. Please continue with the operation.
Come on in. Have you eaten? Damn. Jaber sent me the sitrep. Things have really hit the fan. Oh, you asked why I was here. I heard the scouts were having a difficult time of it, so I snuck in to make them a warm meal. A kind of surprise event. But the real surprise was prepared by Karel. God damn it, he seems like someone with no table manners. So no change there. Anyway, the Vulgus passed through this way not long ago with a convoy of cargo trucks loaded up with a ton of stuff. When I tracked the convoy with the scouts, we found some kind of Vulgus forward base. It looked like it had been built in a hurry, but the security was no joke. What's worse, there was a commander-level Vulgus with heavy armor and high-powered weapons. He chased us, the bastard, and when we called for backup, there was no response. We ended up fighting for several days while being totally surrounded when suddenly a beam of light appeared from somewhere near the ruins. Maybe that fat-ass commander was also distracted by the beam of light because he stopped attacking, and we were able to retreat. Just. By the time we managed to regroup, the only ones of us left were Dominic here and me. Had I known what would happen, I would have brought my friends more than just a meal. It was their last supper, in the end. Which is why, if you're going to that Vulgus forward base now, you need to let Dominic and me tag along. They flipped the table in front of the chef, and it's time to teach them some real table manners. Also, if you want to prevent them from getting the Ironheart, you're gonna need more people. Dominic will show you the way to the forward base. Let's head there and turn up the heat.
Nice to meet you. My name's Dominic. I'm a scout accompanying Blair. In order to get to the Vulgus forward base, you have to secure this area first, as it's our main route. There's also a number of important additional tasks to do. Blair's already familiar with this terrain. I'll fill him in on the mission separately. You'll need to follow the instructions given by the recon squad. Or what's left of it, anyway, as Zachary and I are the only ones who survived. Anyway, good luck. Oh, by the way, I heard from Zachary. His troops were hit pretty hard, but I heard you took the enemy to task and helped Zachary get his own back. Thanks for that. And Blair, your meal was also very tasty. I feel like I always owe you Descendants something. When this battle is over, I'll buy you a drink in Albion on behalf of my entire team. I promise.
Okay, let's see what we have to do here then. So, we have to locate the phase shift gate that Amon discovered and analyze it to figure out how it was done. That's easy enough. Jaber and the guide can do the analysis while the infiltration team fight their way into the base and wreak havoc. I want Dominic on higher ground to get eyes on the base and provide sniper support as necessary. I'll head out first. You guys follow me later.
We've detected signs of the quantum energy extracted from the phase shift gate in some electrical equipment. We need to get our hands on that equipment and analyze it to see how the enemy used the quantum energy. Then we should be able to find a way to enter the Prime Hand's ruins. Now that we're here, I'm almost certain it's the right place. The subtle feeling of the Ironheart particles, This pain, and its familiarity. The inverted Ironheart is definitely inside those ruins. But the Inversion technology database left by the ancestors is not yet accessible, Descendant. We have no guarantee as to what will happen, nor do we know whether we will be able to control the inverted Ironheart. Based on the data I have collected so far, I will try to come up with as many backup plans as possible. I hope that what we do here will give us the power to strike back, Descendant.
Because you've hit the nail on the head. As Amon didn't open the gate through any normal means, I figured there'd probably be some lingering consequences. But the gate to access the ruins was more volatile than I anticipated. If we leave it operational, there'll be another quantum pulse explosion, like the one we saw with the abandoned gate at the cave. We have to temporarily stop the energy supply to the gate after the infiltration begins, and reactivate it once the infiltration team completes their operation. Considering the number of Vulgus headed this way, there's no way we can control and defend the gate with just one Descendant. We need 2 or more Descendants to stay here.
Descendant, the inverted Ironheart is forcing the dimensional wall to open. If this occurs at all of the prime hands, the dimensional balance will collapse completely. The Ironheart must be contained. Watch out! Descendant! Wait. Your arcade is reacting to the inverted energy. Into your subconscious arcade space. Take heart, Descendant. I am with you. The remaining energy is at 34%. The dimensional wall is stabilizing. Remaining energy at 21%, 16%. You're almost there. Remaining energy at 0%. You've done it, Descendant. The Ironheart has been transported to the safest possible location, into the subconscious space of your arcade, where I first met you. However, the Ironheart in your subconscious space can be removed only once. If you attempt to embrace this Ironheart again, your arcade will be unable to endure it. This means we have only a single opportunity to convey and destroy the Ironheart. Do not worry, Descendant. We will prevail. And thanks to the sacrifice you made, Descendant, I was also able to access the Inversion technology database, which had been sealed. Inversion was a forbidden technology that reversed the entropy of infinite energy composites like the Ironheart and turned them into antimatter. The inverted Ironheart was intended to be a core element as part of a process to reverse the laws of nature. Anti-particle weapons, destruction of the dimensional wall, Multi-dimensional space-time connections. I see traces of countless unthinkable plans. According to the development logs, Inversion was created by extremists among the ancestors who were obsessed with using the Ironheart. But it seems the Vulgus somehow obtained this Inversion technology. I think the ancestors and the Vulgus were connected in some way, long before I was created. I can find no records as to whether that relationship was one of conflict or cooperation, but there may have been no reason to include that in my files. As you know, I am not here to protect the Ironhearts. I am essentially a track and annihilate program, designed to destroy them and everything about them. And through this recent research, I have become more certain of my role and my mission. Descendant, I have acquired an algorithm to analyze inverted energy and have derived a way to destroy it. My next step is to try and apply this to our current situation. Although we can only extract the inverted Ironheart from within RK once, theoretically, there may be a faster and more certain way to destroy it than the process we might use for a regular Ironheart if we use the properties of antimatter. Wait. Descendant. A wave that I have never previously felt within the void is approaching. It seems a colossus has been drawn to the inverted energy. I'm sure we'll hear from Albion soon.
Descendant, I have received reports of your outstanding performance in Hagios, and with our ongoing research into inversion. We believe that swamp walkers were alerted by the inverted energy exposed in Hagios, and began heading toward Ingris's dimension. But they're not only targeting Hagios. They're currently moving toward multiple areas within Ingris. What will you do if one of the swamp walkers approaches Albion? I heard that you have submerged the inverted Ironheart in your arcade. Can you guarantee that they won't be drawn to that energy, Descendant? We cannot always assume a best-case scenario. That kind of carelessness is how humanity was almost totally annihilated a century ago. You are humanity's hope, Descendant. You need to be more proactive.
I see. So the Colossi were heading towards the Vulgus Fortress. If the inversion took place there, it would not be unusual to detect a large amount of energy. No wonder the Colossi were drawn there. Descendant, we can definitely use this to our advantage. According to what we know so far, if we apply the inversion process to the inverted Ironheart, in theory, that Ironheart will be completely destroyed through particle-antiparticle annihilation. This is the fastest and most certain method of destroying the Ironheart that we currently know of. The only drawback is that it will also destroy everything around it. But we can use this to our tactical advantage. If the operation is a success, the Vulgus will have nowhere to return to. Descendant, if you cannot retrieve the Ironheart from the White-night Gulch, you must make a decision regarding this alternative plan while it is still viable. Please discuss it with HQ. It will be a difficult decision, but everyone will need to be in agreement.
First of all, the Guide's operational plan provides many tactical advantages. The majority of the Vulgus forces have already been dispatched to the White-night Gulch, and Karel isn't aware of what happened in Hagios, thanks to the long-range jamming signals established by Jaber. If this situation continues, we will be able to lay siege to the fortress, and Karel will be none the wiser. There has never been a more ideal moment to attack the Vulgus Fortress since the beginning of this war, and the chance may never come again. However, if our goal is not just to attack, but to destroy an Ironheart, this will not be enough. If we pull back our forces from the White-night Gulch and behave as if we have another strategy in mind, that should attract Karel's attention. We need a foolproof way to lure them in, much like how Karel ensnared us with the White-night Gulch operation. In other words, this is a plan that requires someone willing to face death, to act as bait, all while protecting the Ironheart and distracting Karel. I realize I am asking for someone to sacrifice themselves, and as commander, I can't bring myself to give such a merciless order.
Alpha, the Descendants can act as bait. If we deploy an unprecedented number of Descendants to the front, that will be more than enough to distract Karel. Karel's also aware that the Descendants are humanity's last hope, so he's going to relish trying to squash our last stand. The fact that he's approaching slowly, like a dark cloud without warping, that shows that he believes he's already won the war. And with Karel's attention drawn elsewhere, if we send some of the Descendants to the Vulgus Fortress and destroy the Ironheart, we'll be able to turn the tide of war. The manifestation of Archaean Descendants doesn't just mean we have to be powerful weapons. As humanity's last hope, we should sow the seeds of victory. Now, the majority of the Descendants, including me, will engage in battle at the White-night Gulch to buy some time, while Ajax, his team, and the rest of the Descendants will be deployed to the Vulgus Fortress. Awaiting your approval, Alpha.
It seems everyone has steeled their resolve. Everyone's arche is glowing. I doubt that even the ancestors anticipated this moment. I'm so happy to have met humans with arche like yours. Despite my limitations as an AI, I believe I understand what courage is now. All right. Descendant, I'll accompany you to the Vulgus Fortress. We must locate the Inversion facility there and overload the Ironheart to destroy it. I know we can do this, Descendant. I will be with you the entire way.